I wanted to play with the architecture.
The stories will just spread across wherever the container goes.
I learned a lot, experiment a lot this time.
This is the most complex artwork that I've done till now.
Indian mystical philosophies are reinterpreted, and perspectives are challenged. Two artists, a world apart, one Indian, the other Spanish, traverse the potential of a canvas. Join us as we take you into the stories of these two artists as they breathe soul into their surreal works in Delhi's Lodi colony and Tughlakabad. This week on Color My City. Harshvardhan Kadam, hailing from a family of artists, is an eclectic visual artist who retells Indian mythological stories in public spaces through his project called Mythopolis.
Since I'd seen Amar Chitragatha happening in my house, in our studios, I was extremely close to mythology as a subject. So a lot of that exposure, that understanding sort of seeped in my lifestyle. Because of that. So what I've tried to paint on this wall is basically certain aspects which are part of the whole universe, which contribute to everything that can be called as existence. Things that we know, things that we don't know, things that I've seen, experienced, things which I haven't experienced.
Harsh chooses to tell a story through a large, imposing, and equally fascinating artwork that depicts the Virat Roop of Hindu deity Lord Vishnu.
Before the 18-day battle of Mahabharat, which was a battle between Pandavas and Kauravas, Arjun, one of the Pandavas, had a few questions. He was anxious about the whole battle. His charioteer was Krishna, and he was anxious and he started asking questions to Krishna. In the entire conversation between Arjuna and Krishna manifested his Vishwarupa, the universal form of Lord Vishnu, which consists of everything that is animate, inanimate in the entire universe. The entire artwork consists of these faces which are from various periods, various time zones. Some are fictitious, some of them are popularly known avatars of Vishnu, like Matsya Avatar or Varaha Avatar. So it's an exercise for people who are walking to spend some time, look and understand what I'm trying to I've tried to paint over here.
By flooding the canvas with intricacies, Harsh interprets these stories but breaks away from popular depictions of Hindu mythology.
Everything that is microcosmos and the microcosmos it's all within, and that's what even this artwork tries to sort of pinpoint on, because there are elements which are really tiny which people won't be able to understand or observe or find, but while making the artwork I've tried to make sure that that idea is also being told in this.
And the environment is primed for engagement, from visitors and from passers-by.
We're changing the face. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I've left the entire ground empty, which basically is like passerbys who will be passing. We are always in certain kind of a situation, very similar to how Arjun was in a situation. So as you're passing by, you are part of the same situation that I'm trying to paint over here. So like, we have conflicts, we have anxieties, we have issues, we have happiness, we are trying to understand life each and every day, and this was exactly the same thing which happened in Mahabharata. To even do justice to the thought is beyond human, and in a small way I've tried to get in a sense of that experience, that literature, those words in this piece.
One of my favorite pieces at Lodi, the Vishwarupa, the whole mural, is I think one of the best pieces of his life. The kind of detailing which he has done it, and it's quite nice expression of an Indian art, and I think he's one of the artists who's improved significantly high during this festival. So he's been really the ideal choice, as well as like I think he's done a great job.
Harsh finds working on an exterior wall more satiating than painting in a studio.
This is the most complex artwork that I've done till now. It took about 8 days to make this artwork. Like every time I finish a piece, I feel so empty that I just want to fill that space with another piece. I enjoy making it more than the final result. So the process is something that which I take back with me.
मैंने ये स्टार्ट से देखा, जब से स्क्रैपिंग किया, आउटलाइन जब बनाया उस टाइम तक कुछ नहीं समझ आया, आउटलाइन बन गया तब भी 10% पता लगा, और जो उसके बाद में इन्होंने जो मेहनत किया, दैट वाज अमेजिंग। अपने रूम में बेडरूम में बैठ के और सोफा पे बैठ के जब ये देखता हूँ, इट्स लुक लाइक अ हेवनली।
I think it's sort of a juxtapose of Chinese folklore and sort of Indian mythological characters amongst many which I do not know.
आर्ट तो हमेशा सूदिंग होता ही है। आप सुबह उठ के देखें या शाम को देखें, किसी भी टाइम आप थके हारे हों और आप आर्ट अगर देखेंगे, अप्रिशिएट करने वाला होना चाहिए बस आदमी, अच्छा ही लगता है उसके बाद। तो हम जैसे हम सुबह उठते हैं, इट्स अ नाइस फीलिंग लुकिंग एट इट।
Borondo has a rockstar vibe. The first time I met him, he was wearing a snake belt, leather boots, leather jacket, and you know, you can like really connect with him, like boom, that's a person.
While Harsh finishes rendering the Vishwarupa at Lodi, Spanish artist Gonzalo Borondo creates imagery that contrasts subject with space. Borondo finds inspiration in the Indian architectural masterpiece of Mysore Palace, painting a palace next to a junkyard.
It was because of the environment. I wanted to bring, to play with the contrast between social levels and different realities. So bringing here to this pure environment, something royal, something that the people who live here will never see probably. So I wanted to play with the architecture, creating as well an abstraction from this frontal point that is the throne, the golden throne. And after slowly playing more with the surface and just with colors, putting all the attention in the center of the piece. As well, the idea was to put 3 animals, the pigeon, the cow and the dog. Probably because of here they are for me like the real homeless, that they are always around looking for love and food, and bringing them inside of this.
I started to work with Borondo back in Italy 5 years ago, and it was like always one of my favorite artists. I can't lie, and obviously this opinion was shared like by all the members of the team, and we were like really keen of having him on board, and finally we got it. And basically like he started to work like with architecture really recently, because before he was painting like mainly human figures. If you see like each one of the brush strokes is really abstract, so you have to step really further to understand what the whole piece is all about.
The mural, called Mirage, plays with the contrast between this regal subject and the uneven surface of the container on which he paints.
The fact that I am mostly a painter or that I work with image, it's because I'm better with image than with words. So that's why I use the image.
And this has always been the case. As a young boy in Segovia, Spain, Gonzalo Borondo loved to experiment with graffiti techniques. He quickly learned that the best gallery for him is the street.
I started in the streets when I was 12 years old, something like that. I felt always more comfortable in the public spaces and playing with the different surfaces. So yeah, it was something really natural. Personally, I didn't keep myself stopped in one thing. I always try to develop it more and more and take risks.
His work is poetic and evocative, inviting the viewer to challenge conventional wisdom.
Your eyes are busy with many information that we don't really need, so let's say my mission it was to bring another kind of language, talking about this poetry that we missed. With images you can bring that poetry in another way. In every project I try to develop a different idea. I try to enter in contact with the space, with the surrounding, with the people, and after taking things from that and bringing to the surface that I choose, or the organization, depends. I mean, it's quite difficult, but there is not one thing that I want to express in all of my work. Things that for me are a bit poetical, probably no one understands it, or just few people.
Inside there is like his installation, which is like made by bricks, which he painted in gold. So the bricks are displayed in the super common visual that you can see all around Indian cities, but they are painted in gold. And this is like a sort of a way to say this richness actually is not belonging to wealthy people, is belonging to the people who are making this country alive and so vibrant. So to the workers, to the people who are actually working every day here, like, you know, hurting their backs and not having any access to this kind of mirage.
He's doing a reflection about the beauty and the richness and the magnificence that we can find in India, but also on the contrary, the other point, no? Those two Indias and the duality that we can find always.
It's different, right? He's not cleaned up, he's just used the brokenness of the container and like, embraced that.
It's pretty interesting because it looks like a painting sort of found itself on a container.
That little fort, the little Jodhpur effect, it's the India we see every day, but not in this form.
The palace will come down. Its parts will scatter. After all, this palace wasn't real. It's just, as Borondo envisioned, a mirage.